Welcome to the Empower Me Parents podcast, a proudly South African podcast for parents of high school students. Your child's success and all the rest is our mission. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach, Nicole van Rensburg. Let's do this. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of the Empower Me Parents podcast. I'm so excited about this. I've wanted to start a podcast for years, but was either too busy or too scared or too much mind drama to do it. But at last, here I am. The main aim of this episode today is to give you some information about what the podcast is going to be about and a brief history about my life and the significant moments that led me to being here today. This includes a small interview with a very special guest who was part of my journey. So let's start. As you've heard in the intro of this podcast, it is for all you amazing South African parents of high school students. Now, I know there are many incredible parenting podcasts out there, mostly from America and Europe, but I felt pulled to create one that is proudly South African. Because our country is so unique and diverse in the good and the bad, we need something that speaks to our South African circumstances and culture. And of course, local is lekker. Now, the aim of this podcast is about helping parents understand what our current high schoolers are going through and learning how to support and encourage them. We'll explore strategies to help us prepare and equip our teens for life during and after school. It's about gaining new perspectives on things and trying new ways to connect with them. You'll receive information and resources on when, where, and what kind of help to get. Lastly, it's about helping us parents to feel connected and to know that many of the struggles we face are not unique to our teen. You are not alone. So what could you expect? Each episode will have a theme or a concept that will be broken down into simple steps or actions that you can implement or try out in your lives right away. In some episodes, I'll interview experts or anyone else who's involved in the lives of high school students, including teachers, psychologists, therapists, tutors, other parents, and of course, high school students themselves. This podcast is solely to provide ideas gained through my experience as a teacher, life coach, and mother. It is for educational purposes only and is not to substitute professional advice and treatment. If you don't know who to go to, then maybe some of the experts I'll be speaking to on this podcast will help point you in the right direction. Now, the idea for this podcast came to me through my interactions with the parents of the high school students I currently coach. They're all looking for advice on how to support their children from home to help them succeed. On my way to work one morning, I was thinking about a particular parent while listening to a podcast, of course. And the podcast theme was Idea Babies, and it hit me. Create a podcast to help parents to help their teens. It's a win-win. Finally, the floodgates of ideas for my podcast opened up. And now that you have an idea of what it's going to be about and who it's for, let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm Nicole van Rensburg, born in Pretoria in sunny South Africa. My home language is equal parts Afrikaans and English. My family is fully Afrikaans, but I've gone to English schools my whole life, and I felt like I'm not only Afrikaans, but English too. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful children, Kian, my eldest son, and Kaya, my youngest daughter. I'm happily married, going on 15 years next year, to my wonderful and super supportive husband, Elnu. Before I tell you more about me as I am now, I'd like to take you back to my beginnings so you know where I'm coming from. As a child, I dreamt of becoming a famous singer and musician and immersed myself in learning and playing and performing music. I had such supportive parents who invested so much time, energy, love, and money into nurturing my musical talent. My dad was a big driver behind my music career, for which I'm incredibly grateful. Among the many amazing things he taught me the value of working hard. Besides for singing, I also play 2 types of flutes, saxophones, and a little bit of piano. At age 14, I released my first solo music album, which was the start of an amazing career as a musician. I performed at so many functions across South Africa and really honed my presentation and music skills. During my music career, I also released 5 solo music albums, of which I feel really, really proud. When I matriculated, I went to study jazz and attained my bachelor's degree in music from TUT. After graduation, I continued to perform, but also started teaching music instrument and singing lessons part-time at a school in Joburg. There I was encouraged and inspired by an incredible head of music, a woman named Patty. If you're listening, Patty, thank you so much. I really enjoyed seeing these students grow in skill and confidence and grew to love the act of giving back. All my experience as a performer was so useful and valuable in my teaching because I'd been through all that they were going through in the journey of learning. Also in my time there, I was approached by the school to teach class music to the grade 8s and grade 9s part-time. Looking back now, that experience was something that I was not equipped for. But that didn't mean that I could not hack the content. I was fully qualified there. What I mean is I was not yet ready emotionally to cope with and connect with teenagers. In one particularly challenging class, due to the students being quite rowdy, a fight broke out between 2 boys in the class. I was in shock, completely frozen. We got one of the male staff members to assist. Now, this is not something that happens regularly, well, at least in my experience. But it shook me so much that I vowed never to teach teenagers again and resigned from the post. This vow is hilarious to me now because I absolutely love working with teenagers now and prefer them far above any other school ages. Anyway, after 8 years in Joburg, I applied for a music teaching post in Pretoria at a new school that was opening in the east. I'd just become a new mother to my gorgeous little boy and wanted to be closer to home. Little did I know, going into the interview, that it was for a full-time teaching post, teaching not only class music, but class art as well, from grade 0 to grade 9, for both. I had never considered being a full-time teacher, because my mother had been one and ended up hating it due to the extreme admin load. Plus, I had my vow never to teach teenagers again. And this post included me teaching teenagers. This terrified me, but after weighing all my options, I decided to accept the offer and dive into the crazy, awesome, super hard work world of being a full-time teacher. My first year teaching full-time, as any new teacher will attest to, was absolutely grueling, as I taught so many grades and 2 different creative subjects at a brand new school that was also trying to find its feet. I often felt like I had no idea what I was doing, even though the content wasn't difficult. Connecting with the much younger children I found to be most challenging of all. Although, I grew to enjoy them after a while. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was pregnant during this year as well with my little girl. What a crazy year. I eventually, air quotes, relaxed into teaching and continued to grow and explore my love for working with young people. High school students were, as you know, my favorite grades to work with, and I eventually ended up teaching mostly high school, which was where I wanted to be. In 2018, I was made a registered teacher of an awesome class of grade 10 students. Now, everyone who has been in grade 10, or is currently in grade 10, knows that this is the year when school gets real. Because you've chosen your subjects, the workload increases, and the work becomes way more complex. In one of our register periods, for some reason, I felt compelled to tell them that if they ever needed support in helping sorting out their schedules or preparing for exams or managing stress, that I was there for them. Now, I was and am still very close to many amazing students through my teaching, but one of the grade 10 boys took me up on the offer, and it will turn out to be a pivotal moment for me in my career. He was truly my first client, before I even knew what a life coach was. And through helping him, I developed a lot of the core tools that I still use today. I've invited this boy, who is now a man, to come and chat with me today to reflect on this journey we went on together. He's currently studying law while also pursuing an exciting music career. I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Banele Fusi. Hello, Banele.
Hello, how are you, ma'am?
I am awesome, thank you. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is really a fantastic, pivotal moment for me once again. I feel like my year is full of pivotal moments. And to have you here is really a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So I sent you a couple of questions so you can mentally prepare, because I know you and I are both in the beginner space of podcasting. So I want to start off, first of all, you were a high school student at the same school where I currently work.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been out of school for how long?
I think it's 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. So now you have like a bird's eye view looking back. Can you maybe finish the sentence for me? High school was,
I say interesting. I couldn't think of anything that was, I don't know, like a big word or anything, but it was just very interesting for me.
okay.
I learned a lot.
That is
So
good.
I don't think I can sum it.
It's tough, right? Because you go through so much growth in high school. You change from a primary school mentality to high school mentality, junior high school, then senior high school. And it is such a big journey, and it's actually difficult to answer that. So your sentence answer is exactly as I expected. So out of your perspective, how did we start working together and why?
So how we first met, I guess, was because you were my registered teacher. And through that, like you said, you offered all your students an opportunity to come to you if they need help in terms of time management and just exams and preparations and everything of that nature. So when I think my first year there, grade 10, term 2 exams, was when I started realizing that it's going to take a lot more effort in terms of preparing and scheduling my time accordingly so that I can do sports as well as, excel in my academics. So you leaving that option on the table, or that opportunity to come to you, that's when I took it with both hands, and I was like, let me come to you so I can get some help. And I think that's where it all started.
Amazing. So how did that journey with me? I mean, it was a hell of a journey. We went through COVID and all the dramas in and out of that, and you did a show. So how was that journey? How did it impact you to have me there with you?
It definitely helped a lot, because I don't know if you remember, we had a small little conversation on the side, and I explained to you how I felt about my role and how I got the role. And you said, don't worry about how you got it and all that type of stuff. You just said, focus on the fact that you have it and excel and like basically be the best, whatever role I was at the time that they could ever be. And I think that definitely helped in terms of just having a great show, releasing a lot of stress and being comfortable in my role.
And at that point, did you realize that you wanted to pursue music? Because it's so interesting that you gravitated towards me, who was the music teacher at the time. And you weren't really in the music department that much at that point. And now you're in our school's musical as one of the leads. And it was a journey, right?
It definitely was a journey. I think it helped me. It helped me enjoy, or actually start learning. It was like the beginning stages of me learning, because we had to do the recordings as well of each vocal and each song. So I think with that, I found a different perspective of recording, instead of just me and myself in my room, recording with my mic and laptop. So it was definitely something that I felt like did give me a different perspective in terms of music. But with regards to, was that how I entered into music? I've always been a lover and a fan of music. So it just emphasized on how much I wanted to do it once I got the role.
That is so great. And in terms of getting to matric and through matric, I know that were you in COVID in matric? Was your matric year COVID, or was it post-COVID? I cannot remember.
I was the COVID baby.
Oh,
2020.
my soul, weren't we all, hey? So did having someone like me as a soundboard or as someone to help you make plans? Did that help you a lot?
Definitely. I think the best part about it was the fact that we actually had our sessions before COVID. So by the time COVID came, it was really I already had the foundation and the footprints of what you taught me. So it was a lot easier to understand how I'm going to work around this whole COVID schedule and everything like that. But during the COVID schedule, you being there was just definitely, it was a plus that I never thought I needed, but definitely worked in my favor.
That's so fun. Yeah, I think a lot of people felt very isolated, and even me. It was it was a year. My listeners, you're going to hear coming up what my year was like, and you can relate, of course. So let's get back to you in high school, and I want to find out more about what did your parents do right? Because you turned out you've always been amazing, but you're still a fantastic person. So what did your parents do right when you were in high school?
One thing that my parents did right that I'd like to actually thank them and applaud them for was actually being a part of the journey. It may have not been 100% or every single day coming home asking me what did I learn or how's school, but the little check-ins that would happen from time to time definitely helped me know that they care about how my academic career is looking like, and am I actually doing well. So knowing that there's someone that is there that thinks about how I'm actually doing in school helped me in terms of just putting my head down and working hard, actually.
That's beautiful. So your parents' role in your life right now, what is their role in your life right now? Because now you're a man, you're running your own life now, so how big impact do they still play in your life?
They play actually a very huge impact, because now the conversations are different. Like you said, I'm a man now.
Mm-hmm.
So conversations are definitely different. The advice that I get, they help me focus on what really should be done in terms of how I should move into, with my life, like what I should be focusing on. I guess I should also look out for in terms of just how the world is in general. So they definitely are playing a very important guiding role in my life right now.
That's amazing. And that's how it should be, I suppose. We all need our parents, even when we're adults. I know myself as well, having my parents' knowledge, they've lived a hell of a lot longer than me. Having them still offer their advice is really, really helpful. So when we are now thinking back to high school, one more thing, what would be the highlight for you? If you had to think of one or two, I know one is sometimes hard. What would be the highlight for you of your high school experience?
The highlight for me, actually, interesting enough, because you mentioned the whole acting role and the musical. I think for me, the highlight was, I don't know, this is just a personal highlight for me. I wouldn't really say it's like has anything to do with the school or anything like that. But
that's okay.
As soon as I joined the school, what stood out for me was how open and willing I was to do new things. Right. So the whole musical thing, I enjoy that, but maybe not publicly, before I joined the school. And once I joined it, I think as well the way the school was set in terms of how open and the freedom that was given allowed me to actually, open up and try out new things and, express myself in different ways. So I think that was a highlight for me on how different, I guess, I evolved, if I should say that.
That is fantastic. And that's the thing. We're evolving constantly. And are you still evolving now?
Definitely. It's a lot harder. The trials and tribulations are a lot more adult problems. So like it's definitely tough, but yeah, I am evolving.
That's beautiful. Akwanele, we still have many conversations to come. I know that you and I are still in touch, and I really want to thank you for sharing your experience of how we work together and your experience of high school and your experience of what your parents did for you. And I really want to thank you very much and look forward to our next chat.
I want to thank you for having me, man. This was actually interesting to kind of just look back at how my high school career was. So thank you for having me, man.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. That was so much fun reflecting back. Vanele and I still speak every now and then, and I love knowing how it's going in his life. Working with Banele was, however, not the end of the story. Over the years at our school, we did many performances, put on incredible concerts, and I taught many new subjects, all of which I mostly loved and am grateful for in my journey. Then came 2020. Dum, dum, dum! Now, no new podcast which contains a section about how things began would be complete without a story about the impact of COVID-19 and lockdown. As we all know, because we were there, lockdown was so hectic. Suddenly we were all at home and I had to teach live online classes while trying to get my son, who was in grade 1, to connect to his online classes, all while trying to keep my 4-year-old daughter entertained and away from daddy, who was working online in the lounge. Oh yes, and I had to record full live lessons for my junior school classes to watch because they didn't do live music classes. Oh my soul. That was insanely rough. Now, I know many of you can relate, especially if you're a teacher or had to become one to help your child just to learn something. As rough as COVID times were, they really forced me to be creative and think of new, innovative ways to convey information and connect with my students. When things, and I use air quotes again, normalized, and we were back at school, I felt that I wanted to do something else, and that this teaching thing was not for me anymore. I knew, however, that I wanted to continue to work with these amazing teenagers in some shape or form because they'd crept into my heart. So I started searching for the next thing, which was tough because what options do a musician/teacher have that is not music and teaching, right? Turns out way more than I thought. After trying on different ideas and visualizing myself in different careers, I discovered life coaching, and it immediately resonated with me as something I not only could do, but felt drawn to and destined to do. While still teaching full-time, I signed up to become certified as an NLP life coach, and then did my Master NLP Life Coaching certification, as well as a few other certifications, which completely changed my life. I was able to overcome so many personal struggles and issues I had, and grew so much because I was my first client. I then approached 2 of my amazing colleagues at school, Colleen and Karen, who were in leadership roles at our school, and explained to them my idea that I wanted to coach the high school students who desperately needed support in so many areas. They both encouraged me to present my ideas to our headmaster, Grant, and see where things went from there. I did so and was absolutely blown away by how well he received this and the great advice he gave me. Fast forward to a year later, and here I am. I am now the founder and owner of Empower Me Coaching SA, a company that offers life coaching to students as well as adults to help them up-level their lives in many areas. I'm also a full-time life coach and now podcaster. How fun! So before I end off, I wanted to give you a taster of coming up episodes. We'll be discussing the light and calming and soothing topics of exams, stress, and studying. Not. We will, but they're not soothing. Our topics include succeeding, never failing, rewarding reports, modern mental health, fearless parents, and much more. I can't wait to see where this journey takes us and look forward to connecting with you. I hope to inspire you all and myself to continue to grow as parents and beautiful humans. I'd also like to thank everyone who's been influential in my life in any way. And if I didn't specifically mention you today, know that I'm still grateful for the role you have played. Lastly, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen and hope to see you in the upcoming episodes. Bye-bye. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to take things to a new level in your or your child's life, visit empowermecoachingsa.co.za and sign up for one of our personalized coaching programs. Let's do this. See you next time.